Alice, a woman in her mid-30s, is the epitome of success in her community. She is beautiful, well-educated, and married to Johnson, a wealthy businessman who is admired by many. Together, they have 2 children, live in a luxurious mansion in a high-end neighborhood, and seem to have everything anyone could desire. Alice's life is the envy of her peers, and she revels in the attention her perfect family receives. However, beneath the surface of this idyllic existence, cracks begin to show. Johnson's long hours at work leave Alice feeling lonely and neglected. The once passionate love they shared has dwindled to mere formality, and Alice finds herself increasingly disillusioned with her marriage. She begins to question whether this is the life she truly wants or if there is something more out there for her. Despite these growing doubts, Alice puts on a brave face, maintaining the appearance of the perfect wife and mother. She is determined to protect the image she has worked so hard to create, even if it means suppressing her own desires and unhappiness. Little does she know, the decisions she will soon make will lead her down a path of scandal, betrayal, and ultimate loss. As the days turn into weeks, Alice's discontent grows. During a high-society charity event, she meets Chike, a charismatic and handsome lawyer who is new in town. He is immediately taken with Alice's beauty and charm, and he makes no secret of his admiration for her. Flattered by the attention she has been craving, Alice finds herself drawn to Chike in a way she hasn't felt in years. Their initial meetings are innocent enough, polite conversations at social gatherings, shared laughs over a glass of wine. However, the chemistry between them is undeniable, and it isn't long before Chike begins to pursue her more aggressively. He is everything that Johnson is not: attentive, passionate, and willing to shower her with the affection she has been missing. Despite the thrill of the attention, Alice is torn. She knows that giving in to Chike's advances would mean betraying her husband and risking everything she has built. But the allure of forbidden love is strong, and Alice finds herself standing at a dangerous crossroads, where the wrong decision could lead to her ultimate downfall. After weeks of resisting, Alice finally succumbs to the temptation. What begins as a brief, passionate affair quickly spirals into something much more dangerous. Alice finds herself living a double life, sneaking away from her family to meet Chike in secret. The thrill of their forbidden love consumes her, and she becomes reckless in her desire to be with him. Johnson, ever absorbed in his work, fails to notice the changes in Alice's behavior. She becomes more distant, more irritable, and begins to neglect her duties as a wife and mother. The guilt gnaws at her, but it is overshadowed by the intoxicating excitement of her affair with Chike. As the weeks go by, Alice becomes more careless. She starts spending nights away from home, making excuses that barely hold up under scrutiny. She is playing with fire, and it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. But Alice is too deep in her affair to stop now, blinded by her desire for a life she believes she deserves. Alice's secret affair cannot remain hidden forever. One day, Johnson comes home early from a business trip, only to find the house empty. Suspicious, he begins to piece together the clues that have been right in front of him all along: late-night phone calls, unexplained absences, and the cold distance that has grown between them. Driven by a mixture of rage and heartbreak, Johnson hires a private investigator to follow Alice. It doesn't take long for the investigator to capture damning evidence of Alice's infidelity. The photos and reports are delivered to Johnson in a plain envelope, and as he flips through the images, his world comes crashing down. The woman he loved and trusted has betrayed him in the most unforgivable way. Johnson is consumed by anger and seeks immediate retribution. He confronts Alice in a dramatic showdown, laying out the evidence of her betrayal. Alice, caught off guard and unprepared, stammers and tries to deny it, but the proof is undeniable. The confrontation ends with Johnson storming out, vowing to make Alice pay for her betrayal. In the aftermath of the confrontation, Johnson wastes no time in setting his plan into motion. He instructs his lawyers to prepare divorce papers, demanding full custody of their children and leaving Alice with nothing. He also begins to spread rumors about her infidelity, ensuring that the once respected woman becomes the subject of scandal and gossip throughout the community. Alice, devastated by the turn of events, is served with the divorce papers while she is at home alone. As she reads through the legal jargon, the reality of her situation hits her like a ton of bricks. Johnson is determined to ruin her, and he has the resources to do it. Her reputation, her children, and her comfortable life are all on the line. Desperate, Alice tries to reason with Johnson, pleading with him to reconsider. But Johnson is unyielding, his heart has hardened, and he is intent on making her suffer. The divorce proceedings quickly turn into a vicious battle, with both sides resorting to underhanded tactics and manipulation. The once perfect marriage has now become a war zone, and Alice is losing everything she once held dear. News of Alice's affair and the subsequent divorce spreads like wildfire through the community. The once admired socialite becomes the target of vicious gossip, with every detail of her private life dissected and exaggerated by those who once envied her. Her friends distance themselves, unwilling to be associated with the scandal, and even her family begins to withdraw their support. The media catches wind of the story, and soon Alice's face is splashed across tabloids and news channels. The public revels in the downfall of the woman who seemingly had it all, and the pressure becomes unbearable. Alice's every move is scrutinized, and she can't escape the whispers and judgment wherever she goes. Chike, too, finds himself at the center of the scandal. His reputation as a respectable lawyer is tarnished, and his career begins to suffer as clients and colleagues lose trust in him. The affair that once seemed so exciting and liberating has now become a source of shame and destruction for both Alice and Chike. Their lives are unraveling, and the consequences of their actions are becoming all too real. Alice tries to find solace in the familiar places she once frequented, but even there, she is met with cold stares and hostile remarks. Her attempts to maintain a semblance of normalcy only serve to remind her of how far she has fallen. The loneliness becomes unbearable, and Alice realizes that she is truly on her own. The friends who once showered her with praise have vanished, leaving her to navigate the wreckage of her life alone. Chike, once her passionate lover, now becomes distant as well. The pressure of the scandal takes its toll on their relationship, and the love that once burned so brightly begins to fizzle out. Chike is consumed with his own troubles, his career is in ruins, and his name is forever tainted by his involvement with Alice. What was once a thrilling affair has now turned into a bitter reminder of the consequences of their actions. As the scandal grows, Alice's world continues to crumble around her. The lavish lifestyle she once enjoyed is stripped away piece by piece, and she is left with nothing but the harsh reality of her choices. The divorce drags on, draining her emotionally and financially, and Alice begins to wonder if she will ever be able to rebuild her life. The divorce proceedings take a darker turn as the battle for custody of Alice and Johnson's two children intensifies. Johnson, determined to punish Alice for her betrayal, spares no expense in hiring the best lawyers to build a case against her. He portrays her as an unfit mother, using her affair as evidence of her lack of moral character and responsibility. Alice, desperate to keep her children, fights back with everything she has. She hires her own legal team, who argue that Johnson's long work hours and emotional distance make him an unsuitable primary caregiver. The courtroom becomes a battleground, with each side presenting damning evidence and emotional testimonies. The children, caught in the crossfire, become pawns in a bitter struggle between their parents. The custody battle takes a toll on everyone involved. Alice is haunted by the fear of losing her children, and the stress of the legal proceedings begins to affect her health. Johnson, driven by anger and a desire for revenge, pushes harder, but deep down, he too is suffering. The love they once shared is now a distant memory, replaced by a war that is tearing their family apart. As the judge deliberates, both Alice and Johnson are forced to confront the reality of what their lives have become. The once perfect family is now shattered, and the future of their children hangs in the balance. The outcome of the custody battle will determine the course of their lives, and neither side is willing to back down. The custody battle drags on for months, draining Alice emotionally and financially. Her once perfect life is now a distant memory, and she finds herself on the brink of ruin. The stress of the divorce and the constant public scrutiny have taken their toll, and Alice begins to unravel. Her health deteriorates, and she struggles to maintain her composure as the weight of her choices bears down on her. The community that once admired her now shuns her, and she is left with few allies. Even her family, embarrassed by the scandal, distances themselves from her, leaving Alice isolated and alone. Johnson, though victorious in the courtroom, finds little satisfaction in his win. The victory is hollow, and he is left with the remnants of a family that has been torn apart. The children, confused and hurt by the events, struggle to understand why their parents are no longer together. The once loving home is now filled with tension and resentment. Alice's fall from grace is complete. She loses custody of her children, her reputation is in tatters, and her financial situation is dire. The life she once knew is gone, replaced by a harsh reality that she never imagined. The divorce that was supposed to free her from an unhappy marriage has cost her everything. Determined not to be defeated by her circumstances, Alice attempts to rebuild her life. She finds a job at a local shop, far removed from the glamorous lifestyle she once enjoyed. The work is hard, and the pay is meager, but it provides her with a sense of purpose and a small glimmer of hope. Alice slowly begins to regain some of her confidence. She reconnects with old friends who are not swayed by the scandal and starts to rebuild her social network. However, the road to redemption is fraught with challenges. The stigma of her past actions follows her everywhere, and many doors that were once open to her are now firmly shut. Despite the obstacles, Alice remains determined. She takes on additional work to improve her financial situation and begins attending therapy to address the emotional scars left by the divorce. Her relationship with her children is strained, but she makes every effort to be present in their lives, hoping to repair the damage caused by the custody battle. As she works to rebuild her life, Alice reflects on the choices that led her to this point. The affair, the divorce, the scandal, each decision carried consequences that she is still grappling with. The path to redemption is long and uncertain, but Alice is committed to making amends and finding a way to move forward. As Alice continues her journey of redemption, she is confronted with the final reckoning of her actions. Johnson, despite his victory in the divorce, has not found the peace he was seeking. The bitterness and anger that fueled his actions have left him empty, and he begins to realize that his relentless pursuit of revenge has cost him just as much as it has cost Alice. In a surprising turn of events, Johnson reaches out to Alice, seeking to make amends. He acknowledges the pain they both caused each other and expresses a desire to find closure for the sake of their children. Alice, though hesitant at first, agrees to meet with him. The meeting is tense, filled with unspoken emotions, but it also offers a glimmer of hope for healing. During their conversation, Johnson reveals that he has been struggling with his own guilt and regrets. He admits that in his quest to punish Alice, he lost sight of what truly mattered, their family. The two share a moment of understanding, realizing that while they can never undo the past, they can choose to move forward in a way that is healthier for themselves and their children. The final reckoning is not a grand reconciliation, but a quiet acknowledgement of their shared humanity. Alice and Johnson agree to co-parent their children with more compassion and understanding, and while they will never be together again, they find a sense of peace in their new roles. Alice's journey of redemption is far from over, but she has taken the first steps towards a brighter future. A sense of quiet resolution hangs in the air as they discuss the future of their children and their roles as co-parents. Though they are no longer a couple, there is a newfound respect between them as they agree to put their children's needs first and move forward with more compassion and understanding. As they leave the cafe, Alice takes a deep breath, feeling the weight of years of guilt and regret begin to lift, even if just a little. This meeting, though difficult, marks a significant turning point in her journey. She realizes that true redemption isn't about erasing the past, but about learning from it and making better choices for the future. With Johnson's unexpected gesture of reconciliation, Alice finds herself more determined than ever to continue rebuilding her life. She knows the road ahead will still be challenging, but she is no longer facing it alone. With a renewed sense of purpose, she sets her sights on the future, hopeful that it holds something better for her and her children. With the tension between her and Johnson easing, Alice feels a newfound sense of clarity. She begins to focus on rebuilding her relationship with her children, who have been deeply affected by the tumultuous events of the past year. Understanding the emotional toll the divorce and custody battle took on them, Alice approaches them with patience, love, and sincerity. She dedicates her time to being there for them, attending school events, helping with homework, and simply listening to their concerns. Slowly, the walls that had formed between them start to crumble. Her children, though still hurt and confused, begin to open up to her again. Alice realizes that this is where her true redemption lies, in the love and trust of her children. At the same time, Alice continues to work hard, saving money to provide a better life for her family. She finds a second job that, while demanding, helps her stabilize her finances. Through sheer determination and the support of a few loyal friends, she begins to carve out a modest but meaningful existence. However, the journey is not without its challenges. Alice faces judgment from others who still remember her scandal, and there are days when the weight of her past mistakes threatens to overwhelm her. But each time she falters, she remembers why she's fighting so hard, to give her children a future they can be proud of. As the months pass, Alice starts to see the fruits of her labor. Her relationship with her children strengthens, and she finds small but significant successes in her work. Though her life is far from perfect, it is hers, and she takes pride in the progress she has made. As the dust settles on the chaos of the past year, Alice finds herself standing at the threshold of a new beginning. The road to redemption has been long and arduous, but she is finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Her children are thriving, her financial situation is stable, and she has made peace with her past. With her children's encouragement, Alice decides to pursue something she had always dreamed of but never had the courage to do, opening a small business. Using the skills she learned in her earlier years, she begins planning to open a modest boutique in the heart of the city. It's a risky venture, but for the first time in a long time, Alice feels a sense of excitement and purpose. The boutique, named after her children, becomes a symbol of her resilience and determination. It's a place where she can channel her creativity and hard work into something tangible. The community, once cold and judgmental, slowly starts to embrace her again as they see the changes in her life. The boutique becomes a success, not because of its luxurious offerings, but because it represents a story of redemption and the power of never giving up. As Alice stands in her boutique, watching customers browse through the items she carefully selected, she feels a sense of fulfillment that she never thought possible. The scandal, the divorce, the heartbreak, they are all part of her story, but they do not define her. What defines her now is her strength, her love for her children, and her unwavering belief in second chances. Years later, Alice looks back on her journey with a mixture of pride and humility. The struggles, the pain, and the lessons learned have all shaped her into the woman she is today. Her children have grown into strong, compassionate individuals, and she has built a life that, while not without its challenges, is filled with love and purpose. Alice's story becomes an inspiration to others in the community who face their own battles. Her boutique, now a well-loved fixture in the city, stands as a testament to her resilience. She often speaks to young women, sharing her story of redemption and encouraging them to never lose hope, no matter how dire their circumstances may seem. As she watches her children embark on their own paths in life, Alice feels a deep sense of fulfillment. The legacy she leaves behind is not one of scandal or wealth, but of strength, love, and the power of starting over. She has learned that life is not about the mistakes we make, but how we rise from them. And in that rise, we find our true selves.